1 square mile, my neighborhood, is Cedarburg Art Museum's 8th annual juried exhibition. Our juror this year was Evelyn Patricia Terry, Milwaukee artist, curator, gallery owner, arts writer. And the work we're focusing on now is Bruce Hustad's pencil drawing or mixed media bookmaking project. This is a book that was made in a square format, as all the artworks in the show were required to be. And he depicted his home and his neighborhood in this multimedia work. There were 140 entries in this exhibition, and 85 were selected for display by Evelyn Patricia Terry. And this work is on display until January 9th, 2022. All the works in this exhibition were required to be in the square format. Here we have Nari Haig's fiber piece, actually a quilted landscape of Big Bay Buckley Park in Whitefish Bay. This photography doesn't do justice to the detail work of this lovely quilted piece in fiber. We also have works in fiber by Grafton artist Gina Stadelska, and her two works were inspired by walks near her own home in Grafton. The one on the left is Red-winged Blackbird Returns, and she uses acrylic paint and upcycled clothing remnants in her work that's hand and machine stitched. And the work on the right is called Meeting Between the Cattails. We're on the second floor of the Cedarburg Art Museum with works from the 1 square mile juried exhibition in 2021. We have a lot of works on this wall that are in landscapes. Most of them are plein air, done outdoors, but some are possibly also studio paintings. Let's take a closer look at 5 of them. On the lower right, we have a work by Jay Johnson, Red Rock Trail, which is a lovely plein air painting inspired by his walks in nature. As we move along to a work by Mequon artist Julianne Hunter, her garage light painting is probably not plein air because it's kind of hard to paint in the dark, but it is a lovely, striking painting nevertheless. Susan Hale's work, a Cedarburg artist, is done plein air, I'm guessing. Her expressionistic use of color and texture is characteristic of her work, and the title is Spring Cannot Be Canceled. That's very appropriate in 2021, and it's also the title of a book by Susan's muse, David Hockney, the British artist. Up above, we have a work by Lynn Real, who often paints plein air, whether it's summer, winter, fall, or spring. Lovely work here in an impressionistic style is called Days Gone By, a plein air painting. All of these works, by the way, are for sale. And here we have a work by Sabrina Rembert, Bridge to the Garden, which is probably a studio work, but perhaps inspired by outdoor visits. It's called, Bridge to the Garden. Additional landscapes done in abstraction are by Mary Mendla, a Grafton, Wisconsin artist. This Seeing East at 6 a.m. is a work by Mendla, who is giving her impression of what a sunrise is like through her bedroom window. Another work, Garden Through the Mist, is an oil and cold wax painting that depicts a garden in the cool morning mist. One more abstract landscape was executed by Lynn Real in a rural setting that provided her solace during the pandemic. Karen Gunderman from Mequon has works on either side here, with a work by Sabrina Rembert of Milwaukee in the center. Gunderman's works were inspired by walks in her neighborhood and about the housing development that was common there, developed in the 1950s and 60s when homes had a simpler format. These two square works share a commonality of a roadway in rural areas. The work by Denise Lauren Donatel from Bartlett, Illinois, is called Munger Road, and it focuses on a supernatural legend that is in the area, having to do with a railway accident at the site that she depicts. And her work is in a soft pastel and certainly brings in the supernatural with her convoluted roadway and an unusual hand in the lower right-hand corner. A work by Jurid Mickelson from Cedarburg focuses on the last covered bridge in our area, Cedarburg Covered Bridge from 1876. Beautiful use of color here in the landscape. Here we have a view of 6 color photographs in the 1 Square Mile exhibition. Works on the top row on either end are by James Rossell from Bailey's Harbor, and he captures views close to his home in that Door County community. In the center upper view, Cindy Hansen from Grafton provides a composite photo of places close to her home in the hamlet called Lakefield. On the lower level, we have works by Christine Hinrichs of Milwaukee. Be the Light is an interesting work done at nighttime, and a slow shutter speed captures a passing bus, creating horizontal, colorful lines, adding to the view of the Riverside Theater. As we move along to a work on canvas, a photographic work by Phyllis Bankier. She captures McKinley Beach stillness in the early morning before everyone comes to the beach. And Kristen Hinrich's work of Blue Skies is actually a view through a store window, and the diagonal division in this work is actually a natural reflection, and our view of clouds in the sky is on the upper left. This first floor wall of photographic works in black and white is intriguing. The work on the right by Seth Robbins from Milwaukee is called A Place of Order, and he makes an interesting composition with the interior of a synagogue and actually things that provide order in his life in a mundane way. If we look at the works on the left of Hal Rammel from Cedarburg, his works are created by a pinhole black and white negative and then printed digitally. On the top is Cedar Creek with its movement of the water blending in to make kind of a fuzzy flow. And down below, the earliest high school in Cedarburg, and now called the Lincoln Building. Actually, it wasn't a high school, but a junior high. The Lincoln Building, and that too is a pinhole camera image. I love this wall of black and white photography at the Cedarburg Art Museum. As we look closer at the works in 1 square mile, we see a work by Vicki Reed, a Cedarburg photographer, in a moody early morning photograph close to her home. She captures quite the mood with her fog. As we move lower, Phyllis Bankier from Milwaukee captures trees in winter, which seems to be a common theme in this show, expressing the starkness of our landscape. And likewise, Christine Whedon from Cedarburg, Wisconsin, in her work called Reflections, gained an appreciation of her nearby landscape in the early year of 2021. I don't know what it was about the mood of early 2021, but these photographs by Laura Schneider capture the kind of misty landscape that's nondescript. Her work above is called House on the Hill, and below a tree is called Thorns. Both of them are archival pigment prints, and the stark leafless trees in winter capture a specific mood that was prevalent in this earlier year. And similarly, Terry Lockwood from West Bend has encaustic photography embedded into wood blocks. And here again, leafless trees make an interesting subject for her work. One is called Searching on the right and Caston's Barn on the left. Birds close to home also provided an inspirational subject for several artists. These are Mark Hargarten's Resin Birds. The vein violet vireo is on the left, and It's Getting Crowded here is on the right. These works were created by making molds in clay and then casting in a resin, in a colored resin. Sherry Wood from Fox Point, Wisconsin, also was inspired by birds making their nest and feeding their young close to home during the pandemic. Bird on Her Nest is a mixed media work.